Welcome back to Brian's Action Figure Reviews, and today's episode of Retro Wrestle Chat is something very, very different. Today we're going to have a debate, a good old-fashioned debate, and it's going to be Bret Hart versus Shawn Michaels. Who was the better man and why? This one's been brimming over for a while, so finally myself, Tubbs, and Rich NG are going to hash this one out and call each other names and point fingers at each other. So enjoy it, guys. It's a good laugh. And make sure to watch out for our little advertisements in between the breaks and stuff. I think you'll really enjoy those. They're a bit quirky and off the wall. Welcome back to Brian's Action Figure Reviews. And today's episode of Retro Wrestle Chat is something very, very different. Today we're going to have a debate, a good old-fashioned debate, and it's going to be Bret Hart versus Shawn Michaels. Who was the better man and why? This one's been brimming over for a while, so finally myself, Tubbs, and Rich NG are going to hash this one out and call each other names and point fingers at each other. So enjoy it, guys. It's a good laugh. And make sure to watch out for our little advertisements in between the breaks and stuff. I think you'll really enjoy those. They're a bit quirky and off the wall. Welcome, everyone, to a very special episode of Retro Wrestle Chat. There is no match this week. Not by choosing, by the way. This is something we decided to do a couple of weeks ago, and we've been working our way around it and deciding when to do it, and I said, fuck it, we'll just do it as a regular episode. So today's episode is a debate, one that has raged on for years, in and out of the wrestling community, really, and even between the two people themselves. So today we will argue over who was the better man, Bret Hart or HBK. As you can see, my loyalties aren't hidden. I've got my Bret Hart t-shirt here, which I bought from Bret Hart in the flesh, and that was great fun meeting him.
You wasted money, man.
We've got Rich.
Shut the fuck up.
We've got
You
Rich.
shut the fuck up already. Go and get a Bible and get it signed by fucking HBK. And shut the fuck up.
So we've got Rich NG, who's always here. And what side are you on, Rich?
The right side?
Ooh.
Hopefully. Fucking
And
Bret
Tubbs,
side.
we all know you're a mark for HBK, so we don't even need to ask you.
Fucking HBK
Not
cock.
a mark, my friend. I'm not a mark. I'm a HBK fan. Bret Hart is a mark. I am not.
Okay, so opening arguments, gentlemen. I will start with Tubbs, seeing as he's not a mark. He's just a fan.
I'm just a fan. Just a fan.
This is the quietest I've heard in all year. So you have no argument, so Bret wins.
So, how are we starting this?
He's had his chance.
You're opening a statement on the...
Oh, yes. Okay, we'll go there. See, I told you I was fucking tired today. Yeah. Well, my opening statement is basically just, I think, overall, HBK is the better all-around entertainer and wrestler of the two.
Okay.
And just the entire career is just more widespread. There's a lot of reasons, and we'll get into them as we go, right? But HBK has had a longer career for many different reasons to Bret Hart, and we'll break it down as we go, because you can't just make a statement and go, HBK is better, because I also think Bret Hart is fantastic. I just like HBK better, and he is a better entertainer. And we'll get into it, Richard. We'll get into it.
You don't like Bret Hart. Stop fucking pretending.
I do, man. Bret's a really fucking talented dude, but I'm just my down over the side.
Rich, let's have it.
Man, like, fuck this Bible basher. Straight up. His fucking prolonged career. That's because he was fucking out of it, fucking half of it. No, it takes time off when you're losing your fucking smile and all that kind of shit. So that's why he's got a bit of a longer fucking career, you know. But does he actually have a longer career when you actually take in consideration Bret Hart's career, from the Dungeon to the fucking Stampede Wrestling to all those other things? Are you just talking about WWE career?
Well, you see, Rich, like for someone like Shawn, he has never dared step outside of WWE for fear he'd fall into the ocean. Like,
Yeah, because you'd be a fucking pussy if you fucking stepped into anything else. You know what I mean? So fuck it, like don't come at me with fucking longer careers.
I'm going to stop you there, right? Because we're not getting sidetracked here.
Can I just ask you a question?
No,
right?
you can wait.
No. One thing I want to ask, because I feel there's 2 Bret Hart fans in the chat right now, right? And we're looking at it this way. How are you going to have a debate when you have Rich hates Shawn Michaels, loves Bret Hart, and I actually like Bret Hart, just prefer Shawn Michaels? It doesn't really seem balancedly fair, my friend.
Well, what I would say to that is the Montreal screw job. You had Bret and Shawn, and you had a Shawn ref, and you had a Shawn outside ring people as well. So
we'll get into it later, because there are more elements to the Montreal.
Before we move on, let's just, what was the fucking conversation? It's fine. I'll be fucking spit roast by both of you, depending on fucking HBK kind of shit. I'll be fucking gambling both of you. Man, you said that you could fucking take us both on. So shut the fuck up, and you're just going to fucking
here. I shut up, and I'm here, my friend. Let's go.
Thank yourself.
Man. Before we get into it as well, I will also say I'm like you, Tubbs. I do like Shawn Michaels, but I like the Shawn Michaels not the person. I like Shawn Michaels the wrestler, and he is a great performer. But I prefer Bret. That it's not that I'm going to say fuck Shawn Michaels. He's only a cunt. But anyway, let's get on to the first topic of the debate: their early careers. So. I don't know a lot about Shawn Michaels before he came to WWF, but I know he was running around in frilly pajamas with Marty Jannetty when I first saw him. And Bret, when I first saw him, I think it was WrestleMania 5, was with the Hart Foundation with Jim Glanville Neidhart. So, what are your thoughts on their early careers?
You can go, Rich.
Early careers, man, come on, you got to admit, like, Bret, like, had the better start of that fucking career. He was established. You know, everyone knew who these guys were. Wrestling techniques as a tag team, they were fucking amazing. Like, you know, those like double tag team moves and stuff, phenomenal, very well executed. You know, it was kind of like they've turned up to work. They're here to do their fucking job and fucking get on with it. You look at the way the Rockers are, fucking like, I don't know, man, like. It's probably them why I fucking hate tassels on clothes. In all fairness, you know what I mean? Like fuck that shit. Like it was just like do you know what? It was almost like see the kind of look a little bit. It kind of reminds me of like a fucking cleaner version of the Nasty Boys, and that's not a good thing. You know what I mean? Like all you need is put some fucking like if you took like Macho Man and fucking the Nasty Boys and they got fucking like that was the baby outcome with the fucking Rockers. That's not a good thing at all. But like going into wrestling, man, they could have had potential. I won't take that away. They were the weaker fucking tag team. Simply as they were the weaker fucking tag team. You watch them. You actually watch the matches of the fucking Hart Foundation and the Rockers. The Foundation were far fucking better. The Rockers were fucking dog shit. Early career, they were far. In early career, Bret Hart had the strongest fucking start out of the two of them. Simple as.
Before I get on to you, Tubbs, I have a different take on it. I would have it's unfair, I think, to put the Rockers and the Hart Foundation on the same level. I think the Rockers were more akin to high energy on Hart's tag team, whereas Shawn was carrying Marty Jannetty a lot, I think. Much as like Bret was carrying Jim Glanville Neidhart, but if you look at Bret, or fuck's sake, if you look at Owen and Shawn in the tag teams, their roles were really more similar. Would you agree with that, or?
Yeah, I'd agree with it. But then I'm just looking at their early career from like, you know, they both were like in WWE. They were both known for their tag teams. So yes, but the thing is like, you're saying about the different styles and all that. But then these two guys have had different styles throughout their whole career. So this is one thing we just need to fucking get over with, is comparing gimmicks and styles and all that shit. They were completely different through their whole entire career. So they do have to be compared from like like a proper professional to fucking a bunch of douchebags kind of thing. But if you're going to go to individuals as well, to when Bret Hart was doing his own solo, to when HBK started doing his own solo, Bret Hart did have the fucking stronger like career. It's
I think like I'm gonna let Tubbs come in on this before we move on to their singles career anyway.
No, I go back to what Rich was saying about the thing. Rich was saying is that, like, the Hart Foundation, like, were always like the stronger team. I mean, look, I'll break it down. I'll always say the Hart Foundation were a fantastic tag team, and they were much more established than the Rockers. But you have to understand as well, Rich, that the Hart Foundation had been around a lot longer, because, to be fair, Bret was in the industry a lot longer than HBK was. He came in way before him. So he had already kind of established that growth as a tag team. But to say that, they're like, like a knockoff Nasty Boys, they weren't. It's like if you were to look at it this way,
I
right?
think the way they were dressed, the look.
No.
I would say their dress is more inspired by the Rock and Roll Express, though.
Exactly, yeah. They were more based on Rock and Roll Express. They were the high flyers before their time. But it's like it would be like trying to say like Kurt Angle, and Jericho are the same, kind of superstar, because they weren't. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, the Hart Foundation were a technical based team to a point. They had Anvil was more powerhouse, but they were more technically based and grounded. The Rockers were more high flying and flashy. But then, I mean, when it comes to the single runs, when they broke off into their single runs after HBK and Jannetty came in from AWA and into WWE, it was, I mean, it's been noted over time. The reason those two teams split was Jannetty. Michaels was carrying Jannetty because of his problems.
Before we go any further, we have a brief intermission here. Our fans will enjoy this one, I think. So let's pause for a second. Today's question is all about Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels. Which one is the best? For me, it has to be the Hitman. The excellence of execution. The best there ever was, best there ever was, and the best there ever will be. Now, Shawn, you may have lost your smile, but you never lost the love for yourself, which is what made you what you are today. Mr. WrestleMania, someone who lost 14 times, I think it was, at WrestleMania. So does that make you Mr. WrestleMania the loser? No. What else did you do? Oh wait, you put yourself on the shelf. You lost your smile, you broke your back, came back crying. Bret Hart would never do that. The only way Bret Hart would end up on a shelf is an iconic toy shelf like this. And we're back! So, what were you saying, Tubbs? We're going to go into their kind of singles career now.
Yeah, okay.
And Bret Hart kind of naturally broke off, I would say, from the Anvil, whereas Shawn Michaels...
I'd agree with that, yeah.
Shawn Michaels had a much more impactful kind of split with Marty Jannetty, which everybody still talks about this day, to this day. And I would think, my own self, I think Shawn had a more breakout turn to singles than Bret did, but Bret was more solid as things went on. I don't know. But I'll let you continue your point from before the break, Tubbs.
Oh, for the tag team thing, was it?
Yeah.
No, I was saying this is like, this is the mad thing, the crazy thing. As much as, like, it's for me, this whole Bret Hart Shawn Michaels thing is very much like the TC Marvel like fence job. It really is. It's one or the other side. But if you look at their careers, even in their tag team divisions, and it was a reason why when they always came together, the Rockers versus the Hart Foundation, it's why their matches were always so fluid. They instantly had chemistry together, and I think that is one thing. As much as Bret and Shawn hated each other, that's one thing that followed into their singles career, was they always had good chemistry in the ring. But they also, outside of the ring, had similar issues going on with their teams. Jannetty was popping pills, and kind of Michaels was kind of teetering, and that's where their split came from. But Jim the Anvil Neidhart was very same. So Bret kind of, but I do agree about what Brian was saying, Rich. I found the Hart Foundation's progress of a split was more organic because Bret was just heading more that
Brett
direction.
kind of outgrew it.
Like you talk about like you're talking about the organicness of like these tag teams wrestling, right? It's no fucking hidden secret. These organic great matches with a certain someone in it has been Bret Hart, and it's always been, people always said like their technical best, like, a lot of their best matches have been with fucking Bret Hart. So I'm putting it out there straight up for people going like, yeah, the Rockers and the Bret Hart, the Rockers and the Hart Foundation had good matches. It's because Bret would fucking properly sit there and analyze the matches. Like, look, this is what we could do. This is what we're working with. No, like Taker will always still say that like he used to love wrestling fucking Bret Hart because it allowed him to do certain things he couldn't do with other people. Bret was carrying those matches. Do you know what I mean? And as you're saying, yeah, I totally agree. Like Bret was always breaking off because Bret was to carry the flagship. Do you know what I mean? They couldn't. Bret was the guy who was eventually, he had to replace Hogan. He became the face of WWF at the time, and obviously he was fucking everywhere.
He was the natural fucking successor, like.
He was exactly. They tried it with Lex Luger and that. It didn't work. It was Bret. The fans wanted Bret. He was the one to really fucking drive that fucking company.
Until Mania 12, my friend. Then
Yeah, but we'll get to that. I think
We're not there yet. We're talking about now. We're going.
But it did. No, I agree, Joe. Back then,
can I just address that for a second, right? I think that a lot of us are forgetting, and I think you kind of alluded to it earlier, is their careers had very different paths up to a point. Because Bret was the champion and HBK was only in the intercontinental scene.
Because Bret was more established, Brian.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say. Like after that, it wasn't until for a while that then they collided. Like, you know, Shawn Michaels built himself up to that point eventually. But go on about WrestleMania 12. Or are we going to go there?
What I was saying about Rich was saying is about, you know, about Bret. He's right. Bret was, after Hogan stepped out, Bret became the guy. And he was pushed to the fucking moon as the guy because he was, you know, the most talented guy in the roster. But you could see that's when the shift came, was WrestleMania 12. Is when, you know, may it be Vince or whatever, seeing that Michaels was that new guy, that new kind of juice to come in and kind of spin it forward. And even though it's been documented over time, interviews, everything else, that's when the rivalry really started to pulsate, you know. That's when it started to go, like, because the jabs were starting to go from then, and it was in from there up until, you know, Montreal is when that feud kind of went and onwards into, you know, the stratosphere of interviews and so on for about 20 years. Not 20 years, but you know what I mean. So,
like, guys, what do you think, like, we'll say Bret's breakthrough moment into the big time, and Shawn Michaels as well? For me, it would have been the ladder match with Razor Ramon for Shawn Michaels. That's the first time I think he was really taken seriously as a big threat.
Yeah, I would agree.
What do you think? Yeah. What about Bret? When was his big moment, do you think?
Finally getting strapped with a belt.
Yeah, against was it Ric Flair he beat?
He beat Ric Flair, yeah. For it, yeah, it was his first world title.
Because what you got to think though, back then, right? That was still during the big man era. Do you know what I mean? They wanted that big man to fucking be the next Hogan, you know, hence why Lex. He was a big, kind of all-American looking dude. Didn't work kind of thing. So having that dude who's smaller and finally who deserves it, you know what I mean, finally getting that push to get strapped, I think that was his fucking defining, like, moment, being like, this is it. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you're now going to take this man more serious in the ring. And I think with that, everyone jumped onto that bandwagon of being a Bret Hart fan, being like, because then you started to believe that this guy is amazing. This guy is what he would say, the best there is, the best there was, and the best there ever will be. And he deserved it. He deserved it. So I would say that was like his moment.
And another issue I was going to bring up as well. This is for you, Tubbs. What would you say to someone who would say to you that Shawn Michaels has always needed a foil? He's never done it on his own. It's always been Sensational Sherry. It's been Diesel. It's been Sid. And after that, obviously, Triple H and DX and so on and so forth. Whereas Bret has always been kind of a loner guy until that time in the Hart Foundation when he was a heel. And, of course, obviously when he was in the tag team when he was younger.
Well, look. Like I've always described HBK's career as two chapters.
Mm.
You have the earlier chapter from when he was like from the Rockers up to '97 with the whole thing, and then he got injured and left. But when he came back, he was a completely different performer, a completely different character. He wasn't the older Shawn Michaels when he came back. So I've always split it into two chapters to say that, because it is two completely different versions of him. But no, to say that he's always needed like a mouthpiece or like a bodyguard or something, I think that was just part and parcel of the character. The character kind of started with Sherry, then he moved on to Diesel and he had the bodyguard. It was, Bret didn't have that because Bret was the the all-Canadian American hero that did it on his own. I think the problem, one of the major problems with this Bret Hart Shawn Michaels feud is it's because it became so real. People got lost in like the characters and the real people, and it blurred the lines so much because like. We all know it. Look, I'm a massive HBK fan, but to say HBK before '97 wasn't a fucking arrogant asshole, he was. If I said he wasn't, I'd be a liar. But you can't say Bret was squeaky clean either. The two of these guys in this entire feud, and I've always said it. This product of a feud between these two guys, right? Everyone says, "Oh, Michaels is a prick for Montreal. Oh, Michaels is a prick for this." Dude, this feud was two guys that said some shit about each other, and then the back office and Vince were fueling it, and then this was getting worse and worse and worse as it went on. And at the end of the day, we both know it. Yeah, Michaels was involved in the Montreal Screwjob, but at the end of the day, it's Vince McMahon that is responsible for all of that shit. And before you say it, Rich, I just want to add one more thing. I think because I think we've all looked it over for Montreal. As much as HBK was involved in that, if Bret Hart's stubbornness wasn't attached to the whole... No, don't laugh, because look at it. There's two sides to each coin. I've always said it. You have a story, but there's always two sides. But Bret Hart could have... That incident might not have happened if he wasn't so eager about his, I'm a hero in Canada, and I won't lose it to him. Because at the end of the day, that came down to rivalry, stubbornnness, the same kind of stubbornness that Shawn Michaels was fueled with as well. But it was just, Shawn Michaels came off looking way worse because of what happened on the night. And it's a fact, because Bret wasn't going, oh, man, I didn't do nothing. He had roles to play in that lead up as well,
Let's take it back there for a second. You were about to make a point there, Rich.
Yeah, you went well off topic regarding fucking Brian's question. The thing is...
okay, sorry, man, I'm just rambling.
It's okay, keep going.
The reason he got fucking tagged up with the fucking bird was to fucking get him to pop more, because Vince didn't think he could pop straight away. That's why he got fucking teamed up with the fucking bird, so she could fucking get the fans in.
It was pushing the whole sexy boy shit.
So like he was not ready to see potential, but he was nowhere fucking ready to come down on his fucking own. And then they realized, you know what, we need to give him someone else. You know what, we'll give him fucking someone else. I'll never say DX though, because that was a mutual thing of being like, let's fucking team together.
I was like kind of piling them in anyway.
But before then though, he was not don't get me wrong, I'll never take away he had fans then, but he needed those people to fucking really like build up his character. The fact that the fucking boss fucking set it up. And I think it was Michael Hayes as well, because isn't he fucking development and shit? He was like, yeah, like she'll really help fucking push Michaels a lot more. Like it was fucking needed. It wasn't probably so I'd say until way fucking later he could stand to his own fucking ground if he wasn't all fucking doped up. But that's another fucking story. But no, he needed the fucking people. Regarding the fucking Montreal screw job, yeah, Tubbs, I totally agree with you. But the fact that Bret's going, look, I'm leaving. My second last match is in my fucking home country. I would just like to fucking just win this, and then I will drop the fucking belt fucking easily on Raw the very fucking next day. Everyone knows that. I know Vince was like, oh no, what's going to happen if he bins the fucking the belt? Totally, I understand from a business point of view. But Bret was like, look, I will 100%. I'm a company man. Like I'm going to do, because Bret wanted to fucking stay.
Like,
you know what I mean? You know what I mean? Like Brett would have left clean with WWE because Brett never wanted to leave. He would have left fucking clean, thinking, if I do business, kind of thing, and if they agree to like, if I drop the belt on Raw, there could be that chance further down the line that I could come back with fucking like with no better taste in either side's mouth. Do you know what I mean? But everyone started getting into fucking Vince's fucking head, nip, 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 and that's where the fucking screw job happened.
The screw job for me, it happened because of fucking Medusa dropping the belt on WCW Nitro in the trash. Vince got fucking paranoid and convoluted this big whole plan and told nobody but a select few. And Shawn Michaels is a dickhead for being involved, but so was Triple H and a few others. I don't blame them because at the end of the day, they still had to work there when Bret was gone. So if he refused to do that to Bret, who knows what Michaels would have done or what Vince would have done to Michaels afterwards. His job could have been on the line as well. So I don't blame either of the wrestlers for it. I put the blame solely on Vince McMahon's shoulders like I would for a lot of other things.
The thing is, though, right, if that was the case, you write a one-day contract basically being like, if I agree to your terms that you're going to drop this on Raw, you sign one contract. It's not regarding money. Like, it's not regarding like we're going to pay you anything. It's basically a contract saying if you do not drop this belt on fucking Raw, then we will be obviously claiming so much fucking money that you're going to be. And Brett signs up basically going, yeah, well, I am going to stick to my guns. I'm going to drop it because you got to think how long has Brett been in the company, and how many things has he done for that company? You trying to like. I'm pretty sure you can fucking trust the dude. Like he never wanted to leave. You know what I mean? Vince was fucking him about going, no, I want you to stay. No, take the WCW deal. No, actually, don't do that. I want you to stay, kind of thing. It's fucking about. It's simple. Vince's fucking business. He could have easily made a fucking one-off contract, basically saying, if you fucking go and take this to WCW, then there's gonna be major fucking consequences. You know what I mean? And you've signed that. So if we go to court, you've got no leg to stand on. No, not even the greatest fucking lawyers will be able to fucking protect you because you've broken this contract. Things like that could have been done to fucking keep everyone clean, keep it all happy. The only thing that came good out of the Montreal fucking screw job was that Vince McMahon, the character, was created.
Yeah, Mr. McMahon was
and that allowed we're not going to go to details up, but that allowed the fucking good feuds of like the kind of corporate Stone Cold Vince thing. That was the only fucking good thing that came from this screw job.
It helped breathe fire into an already catching Stone Cold Steve Austin character as well.
Can I ask you a question? Do you think if Bret had just agreed to do the honors, would that job have ever have happened? To make it. So obviously, if Bret had agreed to do the honors and he dropped the belt on his way out, would that screw job ever have happened? But do you think it was slightly egotistical of Bret to decide I'm not doing that because of Shawn? Because at that time, Brian, that was one of those rules, or not rules, but it was one of those honors that if you were leaving the company, you dropped the belt on the last night. I think it's one of those things.
I do think, right? Yeah. Like there was a bit of an issue with him dropping it to Shawn, but I think it's because Shawn, being a fucking arrogant prick behind the fucking scenes, made Bret Hart fucking dislike him even more. Like he caused so much fucking like. Don't get me wrong, right? I'm very much well aware that Bret has cheated on his like previous wife and stuff, but like starting all that shit, like basically going, oh yeah, like Bret shagging Sonny, when like they've all finally admitted it never happened. Like he started bringing like Shawn started bringing personal into business.
But
I do feel like Bret would be a bit like all these kind of things, holding fucking grudges against that shit.
I think.
Do you want to know something else? Do you know the whole Sunny Days promo? Do you remember he dropped that Sunny Days promo on Bret Hart? Do you know that promo came 2 weeks after Bret Hart called Shawn Michaels and Triple H homos on live TV?
But what you got to think is, right, see back then, though, like I'll never defend, but see back then though, so like you call someone homo and it's just like you're being like a douchebag.
Yeah, it's not. It wasn't. It was just an
I
insult back then.
genuinely don't think like it's like arguing these days. He's not been like, not that I ever say this, but say Tubbs, you were being a whiny little bitch like you are most times. I'd be like, you'd be like, you might get your mates, like in close client mates, like, oh, stop being a fag. You know what I mean? Like you're just being like, you're being a whiny little bitch. I'm not using that word. It's saying like you are gay or anything. Cause fuck it, man. Like you're gay, then fucking hell yeah. Like man, I'll support you, man. Fucking, I don't give a fuck about that kind of shit. But it's how they use that word. And thing. I think when Bret used that word, it was just being like, oh, you're a bunch of homos. It's like you're just a bunch of whiny little fucks. Shut the fuck up, kind of thing.
No, but what I'm saying is, like, do you know what you were saying about me? If me and you, like, if that was me and you, then that's just banter because, like, we don't hate each other. Do you know what I mean? But when you look at the Sunny Days comment, when you look at the homo thing on live TV, you could see that irked Shawn Michaels on the night, and you could see the Sunny Days comment really got to Bret on the night. It's things like that, isn't like when you look at it. This is the way I look at it from the two of these guys, right? The Sunny Days comment, yeah, that was massively below the belt. But the homo comment came from the Playgirl thing that Bret kept coming up, like, do you know what I mean? And he said it in several interviews. He kept kind of throwing it in there. But what I'm saying is, this is what I mean about these two. Who's right and who's wrong in this situation? Because they're both throwing dirt at each other, man.
The question is, who fired first?
Do you want to know who fired first? Because I fucking checked it.
Did you?
Bret Hart threw the first dig.
But why did you throw the first dig?
No. At the Slammy Awards, 96, he slagged Bret Hart during his speech about getting beat up by fucking 16 Marines or whatever it was. Thing. And then that was leading in. That was just before the build-up leading into WrestleMania 12. So that was the first dig thrown, my friend.
But you got to understand his fucking irritation, right? Bret is fucking a hard-working dude, right? You can't take that away from him, right? You know,
no,
he's
I would never take that away from him.
He's always trying to make sure when he's in that ring that he looks great, but most of all, the person which he's wrestling looks great. So Bret's had his great pushes and everything, okay? And then it gets to, here's this fucking dude. At the time, and you can't fucking just deny this, he's not taking this as seriously as he should be when he's rising up. So Bret's obviously we've got to admit, right, a new guy comes into your work, you're working fucking, and this guy's getting a fucking push to potentially get a promotion, but it's fucking turn up hungover, under the influence.
The perfect analogy for this is, have you seen Simpsons? The Frank Grimes Homer Simpson analogy. Frank Grimes is Bret Hart. Do you know the guy that came in and worked hard, everything for his life, and then Homer just breezed through life? That's Bret and Shawn in a nutshell.
And I think that's what fucking was irritating Bret. He's like, I've had to fucking work for this, you know what I mean? Like I'm not gonna lie, he took that fucking wrestling career fucking serious as fuck. But look at all the fucking greatness he done. He made some like wrestlers who fucking could not really look good in the ring and made them look great. Because it was Bret. Didn't Bret, I can't remember who the guy was. They hired some fucking dude and they were wrestling. Guy was wrestling Bret. And Vince was like, oh my God, this guy's fucking amazing. Like, we're going to push this guy. He got put into another match with somebody else, like a fucking B-lister. And Vince was like, what the fuck? This guy looked good. And it was like, and everyone turned around going, the reason he looked good was because of Bret.
Yeah, but I think I remember when I was a kid, I used to watch Raw or whatever, and there was a time where Bret Hart used to defend the WWF Championship every week. We fought guys like that pirate fella John Pierre Lafitte or something, was it? And Savio Vega and all these kind of guys. And he fucking, like you said, he made brilliant out of shit a lot of time.
He made these guys look good. Like Shawn Michaels, he made some guys look good. You know what I mean? Like, hey, you got to look at that fucking Flair match. You know, for an old man, he made Flair look good.
I would say though, like Tubbs said, that was a different Shawn Michaels though.
Exactly. But during this era, there wasn't a lot of times that he made, like, if you were a wrestler below him, man, like fucking, like, he just fucking go and super kick you and get you the fuck out. He wasn't interested. I think he was more interested.
He used the super kick back then, did he?
He did. It became his finisher when he went single. it was the pump handle slam thing he had first, but then the super kick came in. But I would hugely disagree with that one, Rich, in a way, because I think if you look at Shawn Michaels as a performer, even Bret Hart has went on record and said this about the guy, that he is genuinely one of the best wrestlers he's ever been in the ring with. And Bret Hart, and we all know it, Bret Hart is to this day, if he was still wrestling today, obviously now not today, but you know what I mean, if he had kept going, you know, before, like when all this stuff happened, I think he would have been genuinely, like he would have been like a Kurt Angle level kind of wrestler in the newer age. He would have been putting guys over left, right, and centre, or maybe he wouldn't be because he's Bret Hart. I'm joking, but no. But for me, when you look at Bret Hart, you were saying Bret Hart did make everyone he got in the ring with look good, but I disagree to say that Shawn Michaels didn't. Shawn Michaels had one thing that Bret Hart didn't have, and that was flair in the ring. Bret made things look real. He was technically fucking brilliant, but Michaels brought that entertainment factor, and everything looked higher than life, and everything was a lot more high impacted and stuff. And you saw it in like the Hell in a Cell matches, ladder matches, things like that. It was a spectacle. You know, he always brought a spectacle. But when he came back, and Bret Hart was no longer in the scene, he stole the show for 9 years solid.
We're not there yet. But we're not talking about that.
No, but that's what I'm saying. But if you were to say that Bret Hart is the only reason he looked good, then there's 9 years after Bret Hart where he stole the show completely.
What you're talking about? You're trying to disagree with my point here.
I'm not disagreeing with it at all, man.
No. You're saying like Shawn Michaels. You're saying that you're trying to make Shawn Michaels making other folk look good by going, he has flair in that. Just because Shawn Michaels has flair doesn't necessarily mean that he's making those other wrestlers look good. He's just making himself look good. Not the other guys. He's making himself look good.
I don't agree with it, but come on, yeah, let's go.
Guys, we've got another promo incoming. Pause for a sec.
Oh, hey, do you ever just wake up one morning and realize that you've lost your smile? Or, you know, realize that you are second best in your job, that you have to screw over a work colleague to get yourself a promotion? Or feeling that low about yourself that you have to give yourself a nickname so you feel better about yourself? Or think that you're still a sexy boy, that you got a lazy eye, or going balding? Then I highly recommend you hang up your boots and go and find Jesus. Now, if you actually wake up, like most real people, realize that you are the best. And I'm talking about being the best there is, the best there was, and the best there ever will be. Then I recommend you go look in the mirror and be like, damn, I'm one sexy motherfucker.
And we're back. Hope you're enjoying these little promos that we're showing you. I don't know who these guys think they are, but anyway, let's move on to after Montreal. Things got a little heated there, so we'll step it up. Bret's WCW career and Shawn's DX exploits. Now, for me, a little bit of me died inside when Bret went to WCW, and I didn't even watch him there. So you watched a lot of WCW, Rich, didn't you?
Yeah.
So you talked to us about that.
Worst thing ever. It killed his career. And I'm not even just talking about the Goldberg part, but I'm talking about like that killed his spirit. Do you know what I mean? Like when you've worked hard to get into one of the biggest federations there is for something you love, and then you get messed about, and then basically you're staying, you're going, then your last day you legit get fucked over. Do you know what I mean? Imagine any position you were in, you love something so hard and you get fucked over. Your love is going to be fucking like just demolished. You look at how like they brought him into WCW, they almost reenacted a fucking Montreal screw job with obviously one of the matches we discussed, the fucking Sting Hogan match. It was just like the passion was gone, and like I will say at the time, the Shawn Michaels did have the better run because you did have Bret Hart, like Bret Hart actually go like fuck this, you know, like he's got, you know, he had bills to pay. Do you know what I mean? Going to WCW was something that he knows very well, and he could have done like really great in there. But I mean, I personally feel the WCW run of Bret Hart, I fucking blank that shit out.
Like I'd argue that when Bret went there, he basically transported himself back to 1991, because once again He was stuck behind Hogan. He was stuck behind Savage. You had fucking Kevin Nash, Scott Hall, Goldberg, all these guys. Like, it was like, I don't know. It was overcrowded.
You look at who WCW had at the time, and you add Bret Hart into that. How fucking great could have that been? I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but it wasn't like people like, well, obviously Benoit was there. You know, you got a proper feuds there. Like, I think Jericho was still there. You know, like you had a lot of these really good wrestlers. So if you just fucking let Bret like build up your story with like these guys and have some proper like good feuds. I mean, there was good matches there, but but we have to look at an overall kind of view of his WCW run. It was fucking shit. This is coming from a diehard Bret Hart fan. I'll openly admit, like, that was a fucking horrendous period.
And I think it's be stupid of us not to mention it as well. Like, not long after his brother died,
Yeah.
as we went over a few weeks back, in tragic circumstances back in the WWF. So, like as you were saying, Rich, if his soul wasn't gone before, it fucking died with on. I think
There was like a video of him, because obviously it was like the NWO thing, and like he's just like, and Hogan, blah blah blah, and he's like, yeah, we've got Bret, and you just see Bret being like, yep, and he's just chewing gum, and he's like staring right into camera. You see, if you go watch that footage, that's a guy who does not care no more. That's a fucking broken man. And I'm sorry, HBK, Vince McMahon, Triple H, and WCW creative teams with the Hogan and that all played a part in that. No one can fucking deny that shit. Like, all these people fucking broke that man, and that's why his career.
I'd say, look, the Montreal Screwjob was the start of the downfall of the Hitman, right? But I will say that everyone pins it on that, right? That was like a job fucked you over. It was, but for me, that's not what fucking ruined Hitman at all. It was ones that he was bitter. He became bitter, right? Like, let's be honest, we've all had moments in our life where we became bitter over things. But Owen's death broke him. That's the moment. It wasn't Montreal. It was Owen's death that broke him. And then when his career got fucked by Goldberg, that's when Bret couldn't come back. That's when he became bitter, and he would just. That's when the anger came out of him. Obviously Montreal started the thing, but to say, I don't think, like, I mean, Bret would go on for years and years and years and talk shit about like HBK in interviews and everything. All HBK did was fucking, you know.
But you got to think, right?
No, I know. Like, it's a very big party play. Don't get me wrong, and he denied it for years. Like, as I said, I'm not here defending the things HBK did, because even as a fan, I know Rich. You know, he was involved in the fucking that guy over, and he denied it for years, and then finally came out and admitted he did it. Now he explained the reasons, obviously, because he was told not to say it. But look, that's here nor there. Do you know what I mean? It's what it is. But I look at the entire. Like, when you look at 97 Bret Hart up to like Bret Hart now, that's not all the screw job, man. Do you know what I mean? That's a lot of different elements that pack the punch after it.
But you're talking about his bitterness of years and years later. Right, Tom, I'm going to put you in a fucking scenario. You love making films and shit, right? You love making films.
Yeah.
You're fucking up there. You're fucking Spielberg level, right? I come in and somehow fucking screw you of your fucking career, so you are fucking diving fucking fast now, right? Now you're doing fuck all. You're gonna try and tell me that 20 years later you're still not fucking bitter because I ruined your career? Was a part of it.
I put it this way. There could be a chance I would, but the person I am, that I know I am, I'd be bitter for a while, but I'd have to move on and do something else, because I find if I lived with it for that long, then geez, what's the fucking point, Rich? You know,
like, the thing is, right, when you're
Rich, to entertain your theory a little bit, I went through something like that myself about 6 years ago, where I started doing a bit of acting. Someone fucked me over. I'm still a little bit pissed off about it.
No.
Deep down.
But you moved on from it, dude.
But it's not at the same level. Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah. The thing is, right. See, the thing is, right. Like, okay, I totally get what you're saying, Brian. And I understand what you're saying right now is right, but you can say this, you can say that opinion right now because you're not at that level, right? Imagine you try to get over something, and people keep opening that fucking wound. How do you can't? The people keep the bitterness open. That's what, because these are the fucking questions that keep fucking getting asked. Do you know what I mean? So when he's trying to fucking heal, the wound gets ripped open. That's why the fucking bitterness has remained for so many years.
But I think this whole Montreal thing should have ended at that time. Bret and Shawn hugged it out or whatever in the ring.
See, this is what I can't understand, right? Like, and that's Bret Hart coming back, and he's dead. And didn't they sit down and do like a sit down interview with each other after that as well? So they're apparently grand with each other now. So this is what I can't understand. If Bret Hart has basically forgiven it and moved on from it, you know, it's people still hang on it. That's just wrestling fans, man. Do you know what I mean?
That's us even having this discussion. Do you know what I mean?
But
Like,
it is, and this is the thing.
that's because it's the height of the stardom of the two of them.
Look, I think, I don't know, and this is just me, Rich, this is the way I look at it, man. It's just one of those things. Now, the Montreal screw job became one of the most infamous moments in wrestling because of the real aspects behind it, right? But I look at it, obviously because we're all fans and we look at things, and as I said, this isn't me just going, oh, Bret Hart's a fucking dick. It's not. It's I look at Michaels involved in that and I'm like, fuck's sake, man, that's fucking shit. But then you look at it from fundamentals as you get over, and it's like, well, if they had just sorted it out like fucking adults, because I think that's the whole concept of why that happened, is because they were like two fucking kids that couldn't fucking, like, you know, like settle their differences or, you know, just put it aside for the sake of.
They were like children.
No, yeah, but put it aside. And this is what I go back to every time. Bret praises himself on being like the utmost professional, but in that one moment couldn't be professional enough to do the honours. Now, I'm not saying that he should have, but it all comes down to this whole sunny days, you're a homo, blah, 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 all that bollocks that got these two guys to their end. These two guys, and I'll say it, and I don't know if you agree with me on this at all, they're a product of their situation, man.
Oh, yeah, they are.
Because they were, this was building, and you had the producers in the back going, this is fire. These guys don't like each other. This is working. Let's pile more on. Have them say this. Have them do this. You know, and it is that thing. So you got to a place in '97, which happened. It should never have happened to begin with. Let's be honest. Yeah. It was just one of those situations where we're all older adults looking at that, like, and we were saying, all right, if they just did this, and this, long and short of it, it happened. But going forward, like I've said it before. Like, when you look at it, it's when you look at these things, like HBK didn't come out of this, you know, like the winner either. Like, you know, when you think about it, you know, he but you know what I mean. I'm just like, listen to me a minute, like, because like, when you look at it, a lot of people would just go like, oh, well, Bret's the one that, like, you know, lived with this. HBK lived with it as well, man, and he's open. He said it. It's something, and I think that's going back to the moment that Brian was on about in the Raw moment with the two of them. He said it in the ring and everything in that promo. They're like, he carried that around because all he ever wanted, and this goes back to what I was saying about them just not being able to push their shittiness aside on that night, was all he ever wanted was the validation of the Hitman, and the Hitman just wanted the respect of the HBK. That's where they got confused, and that's how it happened.
But do you think where Shawn Michaels was more like, oh, like, I've been carrying this fucking burden of all this bullshit? Joking aside, if he wasn't popping all those fucking drugs, doing all the fucking alcohol, till he got to a very fucking low point in his life that found fucking God, where, like, he's now found God and fucking clean up his act and going, do you know what? This is one of the biggest fucking mistakes I've made. If he didn't do any of that and continued living his life, would have Shawn Michaels actually still felt fucking guilty? I don't think so.
If he continued living that life, he'd be dead by now.
Yeah. He only felt bad for Bret because he found God and he knew that he had to gain some kind of fucking forgiveness because he lied and everything to Bret. Do you know what I mean? That's why. That's like, I'm sorry, but that's straight up. That's fucking, to me, that's fucking legit. That's where he started like apologizing, being like, yeah, I fucked you over, kind of thing. I am sorry. If Shawn Michaels was not that man, kind of thing, and still waited, like, he'd probably be fucking dead, and like, he would have never got his apology for that.
Again,
and this is going to the thing. This is why, me personally, Bret was always the better person, because Shawn Michaels, for everything that he fucking did, he the way that I personally think I describe Shawn Michaels is, he wants to join a band to live that rock style life, and that's what Shawn Michaels was doing, was just trying to live that rock style life, just go out, party, do drugs and all that kind of shit. And like, this is what frustrates me more, and this is why I cannot be I'm just not a fan of him. It's like, to me, he just didn't deserve it. He made a mockery of this fucking entertainment with all this shit.
Like, for me, the whole incident, right? Like, Michaels made the decision he made. Bret made the decision he made by not tapping out and trying to get him off him or whatever. Vince put them in that position, right? Because you hear this term so many times nowadays, transitional champion. That's all Vince McMahon had to do. Let fucking Bret lose the title to someone on the Monday, have HBK win the title off that person the following weekend. It was that fucking simple. And I know, like, he knew that they were bitching at each other all the time, yet still, he fucking made that moment. And, like, and to further that, when Bret was gone to WCW, Vince made his own character off the back of I screwed Bret, Bret screwed Bret, this whole fucking thing. And had Shawn Michaels go out in Montreal and played fucking Bret Hart's music as well. If you remember that time, that when the
I remember
first time he went back to Bret Hart. Now, fair enough, like, Shawn Michaels was a part of it, but like I was saying earlier, he had to go along with it, like, He's not going to say, I'm not going to do that, like,
it's a job, like, at the end of the day. But look,
But Shawn Michaels reaped the benefits from it.
Yeah, he did. He unfortunately reaped it.
He reaped the benefits from it. From one guy suffering, Shawn Michaels got all the fucking benefits.
I don't know about that, Rich, when you think about it, like, because I've said it before, like, I mean, when you look at it, I mean, like, and it goes back to what I was saying earlier, was, like, and look, you could call it fucking karma if you want as well, for his actions, but, I mean, the dude, like, fucking, like, got injured and was out for 4 years. He didn't even know if he could ever wrestle again, while Bret was also off the shelf, so these two guys are, like, bitterly feud up to 97. They were being pushed in the direction of each other. Even every time that they'd separate them, they just always brought them back. And these two guys were off the shelf. Now, Michaels ended up coming back, you know what I mean? But, and obviously...
Was that before or after he lost his smile?
Oh, that was way after, that was way after. But,
because, like, sorry, like, I mean, I'd love one day to tell my boss, like, I'm going to take some time off because I've lost my smile, Fucking how fucking professional of a man, fucking douchebag.
Oh, Rich, come on now.
That moment to me was like, I'm depressed, I'm doing drugs, I can't be fucked anymore, like,
No, but the point I was making was, is like, I mean, and all jokes aside, when this is like the thing I look at this, as you were saying, he thought define God and all this. I'm a very big believer on second chances, man. Because I mean, Brian will tell you openly, I had like a bit of a rocky situation a few years ago, man, and I had to like fucking really switch it over and turn it around and really think of what I was fucking doing. When it came to like fucking my actions and stuff, and I was going, all right, well, and that's when you start to think, and then that's maybe what did happen was when he started to realize, fuck, I'm not pretending I wasn't involved in this anymore, because he did find clarity, and it didn't, and it said when he came back, HBK now, when you look at it over all the years, this is why I've always been a fan. Like, obviously, even though in the early years, I was a wild man myself back then. Do you know what I mean? So maybe I glued more to that. But when I look at it now, it's like HBK did. You can say, well, I mean, then again, look, unless he's a really good actor and he's fucking a liar or whatever. But from what I've seen and what I can tell, but he has gone through this section of where he did. He found God. Do you know what I mean? Look, whatever that is, But but he's openly admitted his wrongdoings over the years. He's openly like apologized. And he has said it. But I find with Bret, for the longest time, up until, and I don't know, I won't say now, more so now, but up until the night on that Raw where they kind of like hugged it out and kind of squashed it, he would go out of his way to bash any wrestler he could find in interviews. And now, I don't know if that was to stay relevant, and Brian will agree with me here. I don't know if it was to stay relevant or just to keep his name in the headlines or whatever. But for me, that's a man that's taken something that happened and turning it into, like, you're putting your frustrations and your bitterness towards other things, and it's not. But I don't mean that. What I mean is, it's not good for him. I don't see that as him healing, because that's him opening the wounds.
Let's pause it there again for a second. What? We have one more message before we go on.
Hitman Bret Hart, the excellence of execution, the best there is, was, and ever will be. For years you've coined that phrase, telling everybody that would listen that you're the greatest pro wrestler that ever lived. But what did it do? All it did was pass your years by and turn you into a mark for yourself. while truly something twisted was sitting in the shadows waiting for you. I want you to do me a favour, Hitman. I want you to take a good, long, hard look in the mirror. Because you're not going to see the greatest pro wrestler that ever lived. You're just going to see an old man telling stories, wishing he was still great. And then I want you to go to sleep. And while you're drifting off into your dreams, feeling comfortable, you're going to see it. Oh, and then you'll realise it, that on your best day, you weren't good or great enough to dance with the devil, the unholy entity known as Twisted Tubbs himself. You see, Bret, you're not the best there is. You're not even the best there was. You're just an old broken down man wishing tomorrow was better than it was today. See you soon.
So okay, guys, we're back, and we're coming up on 52 minutes of our Bret versus Shawn Iron Man match. So let's wrap it up a bit. So obviously we were talking there about Bret being pissed off and shit, and let's go into like why he would have been pissed off. He came up against Bill fucking Goldberg, who almost ended the Undertaker's career only a few months back as well. In fact, like still going to this fucking day, sadly. And there was an incident where he kicked Bret in the head, and Bret got injured. And did he crash a bike or something as well, and got a stroke?
He did. Yeah.
So, like you were saying about, we were talking a little bit about Bret being bitter and stuff. So, like, put yourself in his shoes a bit, and considering everything that has happened.
Well, that's what I was going to say. It was like the things when he's like, when you're saying, you're just talking about going, oh yeah, he's like ripped into other wrestlers. When you look at, I'm going to use one wrestler, for example, Seth Rollins, because it was that classic, damn it, Seth, kind of moments. It's the moments when he was doing his tweet and that was about these dangerous moments, like his what like fucking TJ, like look at like TJ, like he's fucked. Like the chance of him wrestling are what, like pretty slim. You know, like he's watching wrestlers though, like, you know, like doing other bits of public. Seth did some fucking almost dangerous shit. That did like he put wrestlers out for a long time.
He fucked up Sting, like.
Yep, he done fucking Balor. You know, after he just gets the fucking belt, you know, he killed that push for Balor, and that's why you see Bret going, fuck's sake, you know what I mean? Like you guys can do this shit a lot fucking safer and still make it look good. So that obviously that's why he's going to this younger talent. Is kind of being like, for fuck's sake, like you're being fucking dangerous. This is you're no longer at ECW days where you can get away with fucking madness. It's not the Attitude Era. You're putting people at risk, and then Bret could probably come up with a fucking list of people being like, look at all these careers ended because people weren't being careful. I think that's why he's getting bitter about this. He still loves this. He still loves this entertainment, and he just knows it can be executed better. It can be done a lot more professional to obviously save people's careers, but mostly their fucking lives. You know? I think that's why he gets better about this.
I would say he's looking at the likes of Triple H and The Undertaker as well, who are still going well into their nearly 60s now. And, like, he was better than them, honestly.
And Bret, I think if Bret never got injured,
better than them, and
still been going.
He'd be still going as well. So, like, I can't blame him at all, one iota, for being bitter, like.
No, I don't. I mean, I don't. When I said bitter, I don't mean like I don't blame him for being bitter. I just feel that like when you're that bitter for that long, then as Rich was saying a while ago about trying to heal yourself, that I don't see that as healing. I just feel that's where you're pushing yourself further into that mindset. And it also, as you mentioned as well, as you have to clock in Owen Hart, he's running WCW, clock in Goldberg, Joe the Stroke. I don't think, I think pinning it all on the whole Shawn Michaels thing, I think that's old hat at this point, man. I think it's just, I don't think that should be the thing. I think it does a lot more elements to why he's so bitter now. But Bret did that for a long time. He held on to it. You know what I mean? Like it was that. Like what did he say in his promo? It was that bag of rocks over his shoulder he held. He no longer has that. So you can see it in these interviews. He's a lot more calmer about how he talks about things now. But for a long time, you know, I mean, he seemed to direct it at certain people, even when he'd never talk about certain aspects.
I'm just, because I'm going to wrap up this fucking bit so we can move on. But out of the Montreal screw job, who is most likely going to be fucking interviewed and asked? The guy who got fucking screwed over. You know what I mean? People are, Bret Hart was always going to get targeted more with
Yeah,
those
there's no story in the happy side.
Yeah, compared to Shawn Michaels. Shawn Michaels might get brought up a couple times, but like for every one time that Shawn Michaels gets asked, Bret is going to get asked 10 times. Do you know what I mean? So, and then obviously because he's the one who screwed over, so he's going to get that. He's going to get asked that a lot more. So that's why it continues to be, because he is the one who keeps getting brought up about it. Do you know what I mean? So that's why it keeps going.
Unfortunately, it's the biggest thing to ever happen in wrestling, and he was just on the wrong side of it. So look, like, we could go around in circles talking about Montreal for hours and hours, but let's move on, right? I know you want to talk a little bit, Tubbs, about. I want to talk about it as well. When HBK came back from injury, right, at SummerSlam against Triple H, was it?
Yeah.
In a street fight, he, in my opinion, was a changed man. Like, I didn't know then, but as we moved on, he had some of the greatest feuds ever with Kurt Angle, Chris Jericho, a whole new generation of talent. And I feel Bret was robbed of that.
Inspired by Bret Hart.
No, but just to mention Bret a little bit on this as well, I think that's what Bret missed out on as well with the injury.
Yeah, no, I'd agree. I mean, I've always said, I mean, I would have, one of the matches I would have loved to have seen would have been Kurt Angle versus Bret Hart.
Yeah.
Like, that's a match I've always said, even like, when people be like, fantasy booking things, I've always said, Bret Hart versus Kurt Angle is a dream match. Like, like I'm, as I said, I mean, you look at it, as I said, from who's a fan of who, like, sadly, it's a sad privilege. I got to see my favorite wrestler move forward. Rich didn't. That's the harsh
exactly
side.
The crux of the matter.
But it's the harsh side. It's the harsh side. And then I know it always goes. I go back to the Montreal and this, but it is that harsh side of the fandom for such a fucking. When you look back at it over the length of years, for such a stupid, fucking childish situation.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
At the end of the day, like, we can argue about Montreal and whatever, but it was.
Yeah.
It was a fucking stupid thing, and it ruined one career and catapulted another, maybe even inadvertently. But that's how.
Subconsciously, I think, yeah. Subconsciously,
that's how it flashed out. Like,
to do it though, but it did.
It changed the trajectory of both of their lives for the good and the bad. But let's bring it home, lads. Final thoughts. I'll start with you, Tubbs.
Well, my final thoughts, just overall with it. Look, we're here to talk about our fandom of the character or the wrestler, aren't we? So, yeah, look, I just look at it this way, man. I look at Shawn Michaels when I was growing up, I just looked at him as like, I was always very bouncy and fucking high flying and fucking just pure hyper and stuff. And I always kind of like gravitated more towards Michael's character. I loved his in-ring ability. Like, I just loved his matches. I thought he was just a consummate performer, like, but it's just, as I said, and then you look at it like, you don't feel good about certain things you hear with the Montreal stuff and all the things, the feuds that happened. Like as I said, I don't hate Bret Hart, even though I joke about it. I actually grew up watching Bret. Do you know what I mean? I remember watching Bret in WrestleMania 2 in the blue and black suit in the Battle Royal. I followed his career. He was very good. I loved him, but I always preferred Shawn Michaels. He was always much more entertaining to me because that was just where my view went. That's where my eyes were locked. But I mean, as an overall career, I'm just looking at him like going up against Taker and Jericho and all these people in his second run and more so, and even going back to '97, like when you watch the DX days and everything else, and even all the matches with Bret, like Mania 12, even with the shitty finish of the Montreal Screwjob, the match they had before that moment was fantastic. It was one of the best matches I've ever watched. Like, it was just pure, just talent from both men. But I just love Bret Hart. But look, the way I look at it is, break it down this way, it's a feud that, as I said a while ago, is kind of reminds me of the DC Marvel thing. It's people are so over this side or so over this side. Why can't we all just find the middle balance, kids?
His career is over and Marvel are going from strength to strength.
No, but what I mean is,
slagging.
I look at it this way. Like, I just look back at it this way, and I've seen, obviously, me, Rich, and you have grown up through wrestling, so we know the stories. We've heard all the podcasts, we've heard all the interviews as we've gone up through the years. I just look at it this way: as, yeah, look, there was two fucking blokes that were fucking fantastic in the ring that locked heads outside of it. But it's just, it's just a fucking silly situation when you look back at it. You like so much fucking talent out of both these guys. But I look at it in such ways, I think, because, as you said, Brian, a while ago, people find the stories in the negative all the time. It's always like, the person that did this. But it's two blokes that were throwing, like two grown men that were throwing pot shots at each other constantly, Like, and you look at it as like, Michaels was childish about, I'm not going to put you over. I'm going to like just wrestle all my friends, and when I get the belt. But Bret was also going, oh man, Vince wants to put a new guy instead of me. I'm not happy about it. Ego takes over. So Bret's ego was running fucking riot. Michaels' fucking childhood fucking antics were running riot, and it didn't help either of them. I think if the Montreal fucking screw job never happened, you might have got a more grown up fucking, more thought out fucking direction and finish to the Hitman and Bret Hart. But for me, I'm a HBK fan. I love the guy from as long as I can remember, and I've just followed his career. And do you know what I mean? If that makes me diehard DC, then fuck all y'all Marvel fans.
Rich?
As you know, like, Bret's obviously my go-to guy. He always has been. It's that fucking simple. Like, he, from like the very beginning, if you were to talk like just the WWE kind of days, obviously because I was explaining about the WCW, he was one of the greatest. You've had like Dave Meltzer, like CM Punk, Kurt Angle even said when he came over, he was studying Bret Hart videos to figure out how to become an in-ring performer. Like, Bret Hart's career has inspired some of the greatest people, of like new talent wrestlers, to kind of get on board. Like, just like I mean, even though they're not the great, but he got wrestling wise, he got like Lance Storm, phenomenal wrestler. You had like Jericho, one of, if not like for an all-time going career, like he is going to be, he should go up in the Mount Rushmore of fucking wrestling for just the continuing passion of continue going for it. Bret has always managed to make sure like when it came to a match, themselves and the other guy were both safe, and they were putting on like a great match that you couldn't, you could watch a Bret Hart match, and you would most of the time you wouldn't walk away and be like, well, that was a shit match. You're going to be like, holy shit, that was a good match. And the way that he wrestled, his style, because once again, we're all talking about who is the better wrestler. He was able to make wrestlers potentially do maybe certain moves and stuff, like make it look more fucking brutal. I had to say it. Like, make it fucking more fucking brutal, so that wrestler looked even better than they actually are, because Bret was fucking capable of selling it. So like, you look overall a great overall wrestler. He was phenomenal as a tag team. He was phenomenal as a faction. As a single, he was great. He did what you're meant to do when you're that kind of level of a superstar. It's about inspiring people, and giving people hopes, and like, that's what he did. Like, yeah, don't get me wrong, this dude was a serious motherfucker, but he was serious about this because he fucking had so much passion and love for this. This wrestling's in his blood. He fucking like gets it from his dad. It's in his family. Do you know what I mean? So I totally get it. Like, that's why he was so serious. When he was getting the push, like, yeah, he's taking it serious. Yeah, like, and going back to what you were saying, Tops, being like, he was being a money bitch about a new guy getting a push when he's been in business, and he wasn't getting it. That's fucking human nature. If you were to turn around and tell me that if you were not like that, and if you fucking say that you were not like that, you're a fucking liar.
No, everyone's like that.
You have a shout,
Everyone would be like that.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Everyone will be that fucking bitter. He's only fucking human. Do you know what I mean? Like, so, like, getting straight to the point, to me personally, he is overall the better entertainer, the wrestler. To me, he had the whole package for what pro wrestling is. Because, like I say, on his legacy is now continuing from people who were inspired by his wrestling, who studied it, and was like, right, we're going to do this. I want to do that kind of thing. So overall, before it goes to Bri, Bret Hart was the better guy.
Okay, so guys, the only thing I'm going to add to that, like, I know I'm not impartial, but I want to be a small bit impartial. Like, I just want to say, like, I think we're lucky as fuck that we saw the two of these guys come up at the same time in the same era to allow us have discussions like this. Because you look at boxing, right? You've always heard like people like, oh, dream matches, Tyson versus Ali and stuff like that. These two were those two guys, and they came up together, and we got to see them fight. And unfortunately, we got to see them in horrible fucking shitty circumstances because of Vince McMahon. Because who else hasn't that fucker put horrible shitty circumstances on? And for me personally, I was always a Bret Hart fan. Like, hello, T-shirt. I met him in person, got the fucking figure, everything, whatever, right? And speaking of the T-shirt, right? When I met Bret, it was not long after his biking accident or whatever, and it broke me up inside to see how that poor guy moved. He like was barely limping, barely walking on his fucking leg, and needed a crutch. And even talking to him, his voice was like you could hear me loud and clear. I could barely fucking hear him, and I was standing next to the dude. Like, so that like broke my heart, and it made me even a bigger fan. I don't know if that's even possible, but yeah. So like, I don't hate HBK. I never will. I do like watching him fight and stuff. I fucking hate that he came back out of retirement. I think that cheapened him massively for me as well. Just to add that one in there before we go.
Which was it?
I hate that he came back after his retirement in that stupid fucking match.
I wasn't a fan of that either, dude.
But
In
look,
that Saudi match, yeah.
That's neither here nor there. I'm sure Mick Foley's done it loads of times. It's a wrestling thing. Everyone comes out of retirement.
Yeah.
Look at fucking Ric Flair. But yeah, guys, that was a lot of fun. And I think we got out a lot of issues on the topic, really. And to the one person that's left still watching, thanks very much.
Just on one note, wrestling reviews won't be on next week because me and Rich aren't speaking anymore.
Actually, guys, next week we got a strange request into the channel.
Okay,
It's,
cool.
I think I told you this one. It's Al Snow versus Big Boss Man in a Hell in a Kennel match. Or
No,
something
this is
like
that's your fucking pick. Don't you be fucking
It's
cheating.
not. I will leave you. I will show you the comments later.
I want the fucking comments because you're like all of a sudden talking about random matches. You're like,
Is that
how about we do
from
this?
WrestleMania?
You think so? Yeah. It's like a cage match with a dog collar or something like that. But anyway, guys, thanks for watching. Let us know in the comments what your thoughts on Bret and Shawn are. Are you a fan? Not a fan? Kurt Angle better than both? Maybe, possibly. That's another discussion. But also, if you liked this discussion and you want us to do more, you could drop 2 in the comments as well. But it won't get any better than this. So, guys, thanks very much for watching. And don't forget to subscribe, comment, like, all that lovely stuff. This has been Rich. This has been Tubbs. I think I'm pointing at the wrong directions, but anyway. And we'll see you later, guys. Bye.